After acquiring the black mask, we upgraded our best in slot helmet to use whenever we're on a slayer assignment. Although we could just use it as it is, it actually has another step to make it even better. Once imbued, it provides additional bonuses to both mage and range as well. To do this, we're going to have to spend the next 10 hours at Nightmare Zone. With my current gear and stats, I'm only able to get around 150k points an hour. In order to imbue my helmet, I'm going to need a total of 1.25 million points. After a long and semi-AFK session, we finally accumulated enough points to make the purchase. This is going to help so much whenever I need to range during my slayer assignments. Now, for today's objective, I want you all to focus on my gear. As you can see, I'm using something called Clink's Gauntlet. This is an item that you received after doing the underground pass. Funnily enough, it's actually my best in slot glove for melee, providing 2 strength bonus. I've used this for way too long now, and I think it's time that we work on our next major upgrade. For today's segment, we're going to be acquiring barrow gloves. Barrow gloves are unlocked once you have full access to the Colormancer chest. This requires you to complete the entire subquest for Recipe for Disaster. The quest itself is already a grind, but the main issue here is the requirements to even start them. But before we begin, a word from our sponsor, this medium clue scroll. We're going to need 70 herb lore for Song of the Elves, so here is one level closer to that goal. In the next 2 clips, I'm going to be rune crafting. Something I should note here is that this was done before the release of Guardians of the Rift. I can only acquire cosmic runes through rune crafting, and it cannot be purchased until I finish Song of the Elves. The rest of the shops that offer them aren't really worth it with the low quantity that is available. Plus now, I have the level to craft nature runes, and I can start alching for true profit since I was buying the runes before. Well, forget everything I just said in the last clip about the nature runes since we just got 70 Slayer. That means I can start farming Kuras as my main source of nature runes. I decided to do a test run off task just to see how it fares with my stats and gear. I'm using a leaf-bladed spear since this is my only way of dealing damage to them, and if I'm lucky, I can get a leaf-bladed axe as a drop. This is a high-strength melee weapon with great accuracy for both slash and crush. It'll also be my best in slot weapon to use for Kuras and eventually gargoyles. Unfortunately, we received the leaf-bladed sword instead. It's not the best, but it's still an upgrade over the spear since we can use it alongside our defender. Alright, that calls for a break, so why don't we do some skilling? Mining is my least favorite skill to train, but we need to get it up in order to get some unlocks. Firstly, level 72 mining for salt, which I will need in the distant future, but the main ones here is unlocking the upper level of the Mother Lode mine. To get access to the upper level, you'll need to pay 100 gold nuggets as a one-time payment. How often do you get a magic level by teleporting to the places you need to go? We got 75 wood cutting. We can now chop mage logs with our blue dragon axe. Since we got some nature runes from Kuras, I'm going to need some money to manage my kingdom. We got a lot of gold bracelets in the bank that we can elk, but it would be such a time waste just to sit and elk them. So we're going to do 10 trips to barrows at the same time. Since I don't have an efficient method to get there, I can use that time to elk while having to walk. If I get lucky, I might even get an item. Well, what do you know? We got an item on the last chest, and it's a Darok's Great Axe, which is completely useless at this stage of the game. Anyway, with the money that we made from elking, I can now deposit that into my kingdom and collect my resources while I'm there. Using the herbs that we acquired, I can now get one more level in herb lore. Nice. Alright guys, we procrastinated for too long now, and it's time we get started on completing Recipe for Disaster. To give you a quick update, we progressed enough in the quest line to where we unlocked the rune gloves. However, that is only just the surface of what we need to do next. For the remaining 3, we're going to have to complete even more quests until we can begin. We'll start with the easiest one, which is the Lumbridge Guide. To free him, it's basically a repeat of Cook's Assistant, but just a more dragged out version. I actually couldn't complete this until we did Big Choppy Bird hunting, which was only done recently in a previous video. The next one is Evil Dave, and oh my god, this one I don't even want to talk about it. Lastly, here is Ceramic Vase. This one requires you to only start Legends quest to get access to the Karazi jungle, but since we have to do this quest eventually, we might as well just complete it. After saving everyone, you'd think that we can just jump straight into the fight and complete the quest, but no, we actually have to do Desert Treasure now. With Desert Treasure done, we unlocked Ancient Magics, which will be our optimal way of training Mage. Now we can make our way back and finally finish Recipe for Disaster once and for all. After a long and tedious grind, we have finally acquired Barrow Gloves. In the next episode, we're going to be upgrading our armor.